Well, thanks for coming today, everyone, especially the city employees, citizens, and those that also volunteer here in the cop shop. You know, obviously over the last several months, if not the past year, confidence in our Spokane Police Department has eroded by recent events, and we need to work to restore that. Reforming the department, looking at the department, we need to rebuild that public confidence, and it's in the best interest of the city, which I represent today with all the citizens here, the department itself, and our citizens. While rebuilding the community trust, we must also make sure, though, we ensure the safety of our officers and make sure that they are in the most safe possible way as they serve our community. Today, I'm announcing several actions that will help us along this path. I'm naming Major Scott Stevens to serve as Spokane's interim police chief. We will continue with the national search, however, for a permanent chief, but Scott is the right choice to lead the department today. He has demonstrated his capability during the transition period. He has spent nearly 26 years with the Spokane Police Department, serving in a variety of roles, including and leading the department's investigation, administration, and patrol bureaus. Most recently, he is one of the department's 2 majors and has served as the acting assistant police chief in the last couple months. And so now I will reaffirm his oath of office now, and then we'll continue. Please step forward and raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Scott Stevens,
do solemnly swear
that I will support
the Constitution and laws of the United States
the Constitution and laws of the United States
and the state of Washington
and the state of Washington
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Spokane,
and the charter and ordinances of the city of Spokane,
and that I will,
to
the best of my ability,
faithfully, honestly, and impartially,
perform and discharge the duties of police chief during my continuance as such. So help me God. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
There's a few other folks joining me up here today, and with this, the interim chief's his work over the next several months will be complemented by a complement of several longtime professionals. Today I'm creating the Mayor's Advisory Board on Policing. The board will be charged with working with the interim police chief and advising me on implementing my directives. Members are Nancy Isserlis, the former chair of the city's Ethics Commission and head of my Transition Public Safety Transition Committee. Roger Bragdon, the former police chief. Cliff Walter, the former president of the Spokane Police Guild. And Jim McDevitt, former U.S. Attorney for Eastern Washington. So you ask, what are all these folks going to do? Initially, I will implement the actions of the police department that will strengthen our accountability to the citizens. First and foremost, after talking to many stakeholders and those involved with the police, we will be evaluating the use of police body cameras. We'll explore the various technologies that will be available and consider best practices on their use. That means actually getting them, putting them on police officers, finding out what are the best practices with them, which ones work, which ones don't. And I'll tell you from personal experiences, as we get new equipment, my years in the military, I found it's good to make sure you test them out, see how they work, how do they work in the field, how do they work with our officers, how is it put into practice, how do we utilize that information, what do we do with that information, and such. We'll also work with the police bargaining units and the citizen stakeholders to enhance the citizen oversight process and improve the responsiveness to our citizens. And so this is not to preempt one of the issues that the transition team is looking at is this very issue. And so what is that best model? What will we put into place over the long term, working with the council members and the council leadership on what we need to do there, and also working with our men and women in uniform. We'll also reach out to citizens and get them involved with their police department. There is no secret why we're here today. We need to make sure that our citizens are involved. Our police officers are citizens also. As neighborhoods and others, we will be working with the police officers in places like this, Nevada Wood Cop Shop, are things that we need to make sure that we continue to support. We'll also be looking at the Citizens Academy program and other ways that we can get involved, our citizens all involved in a first-hand experience with our police department and how they can partner with their police department to make sure that our neighborhoods and community are safe. We will also seek other ways to improve. Immediately, we will commence the work of the Use of Force Commission, which will be chartered by Earl Martin, Executive Vice President and the former law school dean at Gonzaga University. He has named Bill Hislop, a principal at Lukens and Annis law firm and a former U.S. attorney, will be named as the vice chair. We have 3 more. He has 3 more to name, but their work will begin this month as they are nominated to the City Council, and I'm working with City Council President already for that process, so that will be entirely separate, and their charge will be to review current practices of force and have recommendations to the Mayor regarding city policing on use of force by the Spokane Police, and to recommend improvements on how city agencies engage with our citizens. So that will begin this month, and they are projected to have a report out by June, so that we are not waiting around for anything. We are making sure we're making those changes immediately. This is just the beginning. I'm glad that I'm also joined here by the leadership from the Guild and the police lieutenants and captains, and we are beginning to take this. The police department and the administration is beginning to make this transition. My Transition Committee on Public Safety will also be bringing their recommendations forward, like I said before, on January 10th. And they are, if you haven't heard, they're looking at evaluating the qualifications and the process for replacing the police chief. What should we be looking at as citizens? How does that process look? What are attributes that we should be looking for? The second is opportunities for the best model to deliver police services for our community. The next is the best practices from other police departments across the country, and the best options for funding both our police services and also our other public safety sisters and brothers in the fire department, and what we should look at long-term funding models for them. You know, in closing, the best legacy I think we can that we can leave to our citizens is to learn from our experiences over the past couple of years and make changes that benefit the entirety of our community. And today I wanted to make sure that was the first and foremost thing that I spoke about for the last several months, and it's the first and foremost things that I wanted to make sure we start out this administration with. So with that, I'll take questions both from the press and anyone else. Yes?
Major Stevens has been in the department a long time. If there's a desire to turn over a new leaf, why select someone from within?
You know, after reviewing a multitude of options, many of you may have reported, it seemed like anybody I met with was going to be the new police chief. So, short of my mother, I guess. But I did review over the last several weeks many people's opinions and weighed where the police department is right now. I conferred with other mayors that have recently appointed interims and their thought process. And at this point, Scott had the attributes that I wanted to continue, knew who the players were. It allowed me to start putting in immediate action that may have been more difficult if I brought somebody from the outside. I also complemented that with an advisory board to me that will be meeting regularly, weekly, on making sure we're continuing to move in the direction that I've highlighted.
What you said he has the right attributes. What are those attributes?
The key ones were, as I asked for a plan on where we should be going, he provided that plan. He's been involved in the command structure currently. But most importantly, he has the plan going forward, and that's where I'm focusing, is how do we go forward.
And I know that you said that January 10th will be the report from the Public Safety Transition Team.
Yes.
With that in mind, how long do you think this interim status will last, either before he's named permanent chief or before we'll have another chief?
You know, it's going to be several months, you know, as we look at it. We are receiving the applications for the police chief. I understand we have 12 so far, and so we'll start that process. But right now, you know, it's a few to several months, but we want to make sure we're instituting those policies and procedures immediately.
How seriously do you take the sheriff's request to try and either merge or do a contracting relationship with the sheriff's office?
Absolutely. That's an issue that the transition team is looking at. He is meeting with that transition team also and we're looking at the other options across the country of what are those. And again, that is one option. There is other options where there's a metro police force that does the city do it. So we need to look at it, and like I spoke from the very beginning, there's two major guiding lights that I have is efficiency, so of course the cost, but more importantly the effectiveness. What is the police and the community safety that the citizens want, and how do we make sure that that we can provide that? So it's kind of 2 points. It's both, obviously everybody thinks it's cost. That is one issue, obviously, but more importantly, what is the level of service that those that live within the Spokane City that I represent want, desire, and frankly, deserve.
And you also talked about oversight, citizen, and also referring to the ombudsman. You didn't actually say the word ombudsman. I'm wondering, are there other models you're looking at, or are we going to stick with the civilian ombudsman?
Very good question. Now, obviously, Tim Burns, the ombudsman, is staying on board, fully engaged. I appreciate that he's up here with me now. But what are the other models that you can utilize, a hybrid or other models that we'll be looking at? And that's one issue the transition team is looking at. Also, like I said, working with the Guild and lieutenants and captains, what is that model? But we will have more oversight, and I believe, and I've been working with the police department, that this is a shared goal of all of us.
Yes. Are you saying that you may not necessarily be working, or may not end up working toward the goal of the police ombudsman that had been approved by City Council and then was taken away after the arbitrators ruling?
That's, I mean,
is that your goal?
I'm not stating a single goal at this point. There's many options out there. I've heard from many stakeholders that have different options available, and I think it's a discussion that I'll have with both the police department, the city council, and how we get there. I think the shared goal is that citizens are going to be involved in the oversight of their police force and how that model best fits.
What is your priority with the Cop Shop program, and what is your feeling towards that? I
think this is a great partnership. I think the ultimate goal of having our citizens involved with their citizen police force is right on, and if there's this is things, and I chose to have this here for that exact reason.
What is Rocky PD's status in City Hall right now?
Nick, you waited a few questions for that one. Obviously, immediately today, Rocky is no longer the police advisor. I am meeting with outside counsel to discuss the civil case and who will be representing the city in the civil case. After I complete that review, I will be reviewing the long-term employment with the city attorney of Rocky PD.
Is Howard Delaney your city attorney?
Yes.
And is that you're committed to that, at least for the short term?
I spoke with the cabinet this morning, the senior division leaders. At this point, Howard, like any of the directors, I'm spending the next 120 days so that we both get to know each other, and after that 120-day period, we will be finalizing the Condon administration team.
Can you clarify, when you say Rocky Trapede is no longer your police advisor, what's his role now?
He's a litigator, so he has several open cases that he is working currently, and so there's other litigation that he is working on behalf of the city. So there's plenty of work in the legal department, and that's one issue that we need to discuss. I have, because I was not the mayor, I was not privy to a lot of the information of the ongoing litigation, and so we need to work through those issues in the best interest of the citizens and for the city. So we'll be working over those in short order. Don't get me wrong; it's on the top of my to-do list.
Have you met with Rocky Trapede?
I have not. I've been working with the city attorney. Rocky serves at the pleasure of the city attorney.
Do you plan to meet with him?
Of course, absolutely.
Mayor, do you know enough yet about this civil lawsuit to say whether or not it is something that you would like to settle, as your predecessor indicated she wanted to settle?
I obviously would like to settle it. I do not know enough information at this time of where we are in the process. I'll be doing that review here shortly.
You campaigned on, one of your campaign issues was property crimes detectives. Do you plan to bring back, to create a property crimes division?
You know, as I think, which was aptly put, there's been some moves already within the department to do just that. I think, and I would continue to do that, and as we look at, it would be a top priority of mine in a funding priority list for the future of the police department.
Mayor, during the campaign, you indicated that things had come to your attention about the way that Rocky Trapedi had handled the AutoZone case that made you feel like you could not keep him in your employ much longer. What are some of the things that irk you about the way that Rocky's conducted himself?
You know, and quite closely to what I said it would be difficult to, at this point, I think either of us, to take that advice. Legal counsel, some of the instances is the way he got, or the way that case unfolded, frankly, and not to get into the eaches of it. You guys know as well as I do. I just think some of those decisions at this point would be difficult for me to stand behind, and it does cloud what my perception of future legal advice would be.
Could you see him staying at the attorney's office if he doesn't get involved in advising the police department or doing any litigation that's connected to the police department? It
would be difficult for me to take legal advice at this point.
Could we ask the acting chief some questions?
There you go, Chief.
Thank you.
Chief, what is your top priority in the department right now?
Really, the top priority is exactly what the mayor mentioned already, and the number one priority would be working toward restoring and enhancing public safety through trust and confidence in the police department. And that really be our guiding goal for this short period, is doing everything we can to enhance that public trust and confidence.
How long have you been with the department?
I've been with the department, it will be 26 years in March.
Do you want to remain chief beyond an interim?
Ask me again in about 120 days. I'd like to, sit in the seat for a while, and I'm very excited to have this opportunity, very grateful to the mayor, and I'm very excited to be working with this administration.
Chief, would you say that there's something that's decidedly different that you might be doing now that you are acting chief for at least for a while? Some changes that you'd like to employ that you now have the authority to do?
As the mayor mentioned, I did present a plan to him, and we'll be implementing portions of that plan. I'd like to reveal that to you at a later date. But again, what I'd like to stress is that every decision that I will make will be predicated on one guiding principle, and that is to provide efficient, effective, and unbiased policing to the citizens of our community. And that will be the goal. And if I could sum it up real quickly, it would be two things people can rely on. Number one is safety, that when a Spokane police officer shows up, you will be safe, whether you're a suspect, a victim, a witness, a complainant, or the officers, you will be safe. And number two, that once that officer arrives, we will provide you with the best service we can at that time.
Chief, our police department is not broken by a long shot, but there are some people that become disenchanted with the police department. What is at risk if you're not able to bring those people back into the fold?
What its risk is a further erosion of that public trust and confidence. And one of the things I'd really like to stress is that I know I speak for the officers when we say we are your police department. We are a part of the community. We are here to serve the community. And that's what we were stressing, is that service to our community.
Do you worry that we're not all working together on the same team, that we're kind of making it easier for criminals to do their thing in our community?
Absolutely. That's one of the things that I truly believe in, is a collaborative effort between all members of public safety and really all members of every department within the city, working again to provide that level of service that we can to the public.
How would you describe your relationship with the Spokane Police Guild?
I like them. I have a good working relationship with them, really based on mutual respect and a professional demeanor.
Chief, have you heard any update about the possible Department of Justice investigation?
Not at this time.
Do you have an assistant chief named yet?
Not yet.
When do you plan on having that command structure?
Those are discussions I'll be having with the mayor very shortly. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to the mayor.
Let me assure you that I'm still supportive of the DOJ investigation, and at this point have not stopped that. And of course, at this point, it's up to DOJ.
Do you have to reaffirm the invitation from former Mayor Berner?
You know, I'm looking into that if I need to, if that's necessary.
I was a bit confused by the different commissions and committees. The one that was...
That's why I named them different, so you wouldn't be confused. One is the mayor's advisory board, and that will be the people I talked about. The commission was named to be the chairman of Earl Martin, and he will select all 5 members and will be appointed by me and confirmed by the council, and have separate, and he will also have a budget line item so that they can determine what they need to do.
Your predecessor had announced the creation of some type of body to examine the ZEM issue, then that was going to be led by Marty Martin. Is this the same?
This is exactly that. We are looking on the entirety of use of force, and of course they will be utilizing the ZEM case as one of the models as they go through. But we definitely want an overarching commission to look at the whole use of force, to include other agencies within the city.
One of the things that came out of the ZEM trial is that there seemed to be a disconnect between what at least some officers in the police department believe is appropriate policy and procedure and what some experts say is appropriate. Is there a disconnect in the department now? And do you feel that the department is where do you stand on this issue?
The commission will be looking exactly what you're just talking about.
What about the chief's duties?
I think the citizens of Spokane, vis-a-vis this commission, as they do their work, will be able to make that determination of what they see as an appropriate use of force in those organizations, and we work for the citizens.
And will they will provide a discussion about the use of force and kind of provide recommendations for that, and also review the city's handling of the Thompson?
They'll use that as one of the cases that they'll review, so that obviously as they go through the process, may they look at others, perhaps. And again, it is completely autonomous to the mayor's office. That's why it'll be separate budget line. They'll, if they need to use separate legal counsel, they won't be coming to city legal to ask legal interpretations or questions. So they will be completely separate. But definitely from our community, will they bring in outside experts, perhaps? But again, that's completely up to that commission, and they will, delivering that. My main point is we don't need to, as a community, need to be waiting around for whether the DOJ decides to investigate us or not. Let's have our citizens. This is our town. Let's take care of what we need to and move forward.
I know you said funding property funds is going to be one of your top priorities, but the budget's already been set. So can you be more specific about how you plan on?
Well, let me be very clear. If there are burglars out there, crime, if they are going to be, do report them. And we are already having, like I said, there have already been made moves within the police department for the investigation side of that. They've already had, if you could call it, good successes recently. I'd ask the chief to comment on it further. But the city heard loud and clear that this was an issue. They've already made steps, but you better believe, as part of also my advisory board, we'll make sure that that continues, and how we make the best utilization of our police force so that we do investigate those crimes.
Question.
Is it fair to say you're going to have 100% of property crimes eventually investigated?
At this point, and the other issue is utilizing, the intelligence-led policing and making sure that we're following that way. So at this point, we'll be looking at that. But definitely, like I said, they've had recent successes in apprehending, and so it's being currently addressed, and we definitely will monitor it to make sure it's continued to be addressed.
Mayor, perhaps Scott Stevens could tell us about the 2 detectives that were already moving into property crimes in 2012. There were 2 added to the budget. If you look at slide number.
Oh, Marlene just said it. So we are going to, one of the things we're doing is taking a look at the manner in which we address property crimes. And as the mayor mentioned, it's extremely critical that people continue to report all those crimes so that we can see if they fit into a serious trend or pattern of crimes that might involve a repeat offender or prolific criminal. And so what we've done is we've taken the detectives that we do have that are working property crimes, we've married them up with our patrol anti-crime teams, and then hooked them up with crime analysis as well. So what we're trying to do is look at those people that may not have committed a singular crime, but are responsible for a series of crimes, or maybe in the process of committing a series of crimes. And we will target our efforts toward those. And so really what we'd like to do over the next year is enhance those capabilities, because the way we're doing it right now is really working. We can track the trends when we see certain people are in jail, the crime patterns go down versus when they're free. And so we'll be focusing our efforts on that and also enhancing that effort. Like Marlene Feist just said, we will be adding a couple detectives to contribute to that effort. And so we will continue to do that and monitor our success.
So singular crimes are priority?
Singular crimes are a priority in that we need those to determine whether or not they're a singular crime or whether they fit into a pattern. So we really do need to capture all that information.
Do you concur with Chief Kirkpatrick's assessment that morale is low in the Spokane Police Department?
I would characterize morale in the department as at a point where there's a great opportunity right now. We have a new mayor. We have really new leadership in the department. There's just a great opportunity to push forward and to make positive things happen in the future. And so I see the morale in the police department doing nothing but going up over the next short term and probably continuing on that way. And a lot of that morale is really tied into the whole issue of public trust and confidence again. And it goes back to not just the public's confidence in the police department, but also getting that relationship back with individual officers and the public, which is, again, what's so great about these type of neighborhood policing efforts.
Always afraid to do this, but one last question. I will be, as part of my transition, I will be spending this week on public safety, and this will be my first visit to this cop shop, and I will be also looking throughout the police department and also the fire department, and they will align, very with the different transition task forces that I have. So this week, the balance of the week will be spent primarily on issues facing public safety.
There's one last question.
Time's up. Sorry, buddy.
First day on the job, how does it feel to have the campaigning over and to be at the helm of the city?
Well, I was very grateful for the transition period. It's been a great transition period, and many of the citizens that are involved in the transition teams, excited about the work they're doing and my ability to get up to speed. But yes, it feels great to finally walk in there and start doing some of the things I've been talking about. Thank you very much.
Congratulations. What's that? Appreciate it. Congratulations.